हॅलो चेक राजेंद्र. चेक राजेंद्र, आवाज येतो?
My esteemed sister and brother judges, Shri Deshpande, Assistant Solicitor General of India, Srimati Kirti Joshi, Government Leader, Shri Parijat Pandey, Member Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, Shri Atul Pandey, President, High Court Bar Association, esteemed senior advocates and other learned members of the bar, bereaved members of the Deshpande family, including Brother Justice Ravi Deshpande, members of the registry and the staff, ladies and gentlemen. Krishna Harihar Deshpande, a doyen of the Nagpur bar, breathed his last on 25th March 2022, aged 94. We have assembled this morning to pay homage to the departed soul. Parting of a near and dear one, irrespective of his age, is always painful. But we can seek comfort by celebrating and drawing inspiration from the life and accomplishments of the departed soul and cherishing the sweet and fond memories associated with him. Krishna Harihar Deshpande, fondly known as KH by people close to him, was born on 27 December 1928 at Amravati. After obtaining a degree in Bachelor of Commerce in 1950, Deshpande ji graduated in law in the year 1953 from Nagpur University. Having been enrolled as an advocate, he started his practice as a junior of advocate Shri K.Y. Deshpande of Akola. Deshpande ji started his regular practice at the Nagpur bench of the Bombay High Court since June 1962. A brilliant advocate and legal luminary in his own right, Deshpande ji was designated as a senior advocate by the High Court of Bombay in 1977. It is indeed difficult to reflect on the life and works of Deshpande ji within such a short span of time. I am certain whatever I miss would be made good by the other speakers. In a career spanning 65 years of practice from 1953 to 2018, Deshpande ji had established flourishing practice in almost all fields of law, civil, criminal, taxation, company, constitution, labor, etc., and was an advocate par excellence. One of the finest lawyers the Nagpur bar has ever produced, he conducted several prominent civil, criminal, as well as election trials and appeals to before various courts. Further, he appeared as the lead counsel in several public interest litigation in the High Court as also the Supreme Court, and was successful in majority of such litigation to ensure that justice reaches the poor, the deprived, and the marginalized. Deshpande ji was the senior standing counsel for the Income Tax Department, National Textile Corporation, Maharashtra State Electricity Board, Agricultural Produce Market Committees, Nagpur Forest Development Corporation of Maharashtra Limited. He also represented many local bodies and authorities like Nagpur Municipal Corporation, Nagpur Improvement Trust, Nagpur University, etc. in the High Court, as also the Supreme Court. On many occasions, he argued cases against great legal luminaries and stalwarts in opposition. In one of the famous cases relating to concealment of income, Deshpande ji represented the department before the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal and opposed eminent jurist and legal luminary Nani Palkiwala. Deshpande ji had an outstanding and convincing capability while arguing cases. Being a lawyer of very high caliber and reputation, honorable judges, while Deshpande ji presented his case, used to hear him patiently and with keen interest. I have gathered that in one of the election cases before the Supreme Court, his adversary was Shri V.S. Sirpurkar, who subsequently became an honorable judge of the Supreme Court. The said case was argued for a week in a packed courtroom. When Deshpande ji closed his arguments, the honorable judges, while rising from the dais, commented that this was indeed how an election petition should be argued, and the bar would do well to learn from a master like K.H. Deshpande ji had also represented the High Court and the state government in several important matters before the bench at Nagpur. He appeared as a senior counsel before many commissions, such as Kudal Commission of Inquiry at New Delhi, Dani Commission inquiring into Gongowari stampede, and Jinwala Commission of Inquiry into police firing at Indora, Nagpur. Due to his expertise in all branches of law, Deshpande ji was appointed as amicus curiae in number of matters, and the able assistance that he provided to the bench ensured justice being administered to the deserving. Law journals bear testimony to the number of reported cases where Deshpande ji had appeared, rendering valuable assistance to the court to lay down the law and also settle vexed issues of law and facts. Deshpande ji was always looked upon by his juniors as a role model for perfect advocacy, and it is well known that many junior and budding lawyers were groomed and mentored by him on the art of advocacy. Today, many of them are successfully practicing in the High Court and the Supreme Court. Deshpande ji was a multi-talented person. Beyond legal work, he had a keen interest in literature. He authored several books, of which Gitarth Bodh, Dashopanishad, Changdev Chalisi, Dakshinamurti Stotra stand out. He was awarded the title of Tatvadni Vibhushan by Kavi Kalidas Sanskrit Vidyapit. Demise of such a great personality is indeed an irreparable loss for the legal fraternity. However, bearing in mind that Deshpande ji lived a full life and contributed to the welfare of society without end, let us not be saddened but pledge to carry the legacy of this great man forward. Deshpande ji is survived by his wife, Srimati Usha Deshpande, daughter Hema Pangarkar, son Brother Justice Ravi K. Deshpande, who carried on his legacy to the fullest possible extent and made him proud by his elevation and sublime performance as a judge of this court. Not many a father is fortunate enough to live through the entire period his son adorned the bench of the High Court. Deshpande ji was one of them. He is also survived by his younger son, Shri Rajiv Deshpande, a chartered accountant, as also a practicing lawyer. On behalf of my esteemed colleagues and on my own behalf, I extend my heartfelt condolences to the members of the bereaved family. I pray that the Almighty give them enough strength to bear the irreparable loss, and also pray that the noble soul of K.H. Deshpande ji attains Sadgati. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Honorable Chief Justice of Bombay High Court, Honorable Judges of the Bombay High Court, Government Leader Mrs. Ketki Joshi, Shri Parijat Pandey, Member Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, Shri Atul Pandey, President High Court Bar Association, members of the Deshpande family, including Honorable Justice Shri R.K. Deshpande, senior advocates, my colleagues and my dear friends. Advocate K. Deshpande was a highly respected legal luminary. Started practicing law in 1953 at Akola in the chamber of Advocate K.Y. Deshpande. After a few years, he shifted to Amravati and thereafter to Nagpur and started his practice at the Bombay High Court. He was conferred with the designation of a senior advocate by the Bombay High Court in 1977. He was the only advocate to be designated by the Bombay High Court without making an application for it. He argued in several important and landmark cases pertaining to constitutional law, election law, service law, and taxation. He was a senior standing counsel for a number of government organizations and corporations. He was a great social worker and chaired various social organizations. He also authored several books on spirituality titled Shri Gitarthabodh, Shri Chandeo Chalisi, and Dakshinamurti Stotra, to name a few. He was conferred with a Tattvajna Vibhushan title by the Kavi Kulguru Kalidas Sanskrit University. He participated in freedom struggle and was also arrested for distributing literature regarding Quit India movement against the British. He was also associated with many social organizations, including Shri Hanuman Vayam Prasarak Mandal Amravati, National Center for Rural Development Nagpur, amongst others. He led one of the oldest chambers of lawyers in Nagpur, producing a number of excellent advocates. I had an honor of working with him in some matters. He was a leading light, always ready to help out his junior colleagues. On his demise, an era had come to an end. We all are lucky enough to witness the KH era. Rarely we see such a multifaceted personality. In this hour of grief, I share the feelings of all those who have gathered here in expressing our heartfelt condolences to the members of the bereaved family. Lastly, I would only say, Astoma Sadgamaya, Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amrutam Gamaya, which means from ignorance, lead me to the truth, from darkness, lead me into light, from death, lead me into immortality. Om Shanti Shanti.
Honorable the Chief Justice of the Bombay High Court, Shri Dipankar Datta, Honorable Judges of the Bombay High Court, the Assistant Solicitor General of India, Shri Nandesh Deshpande, Shri Parijat Pandey, Member Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, Shri Atul Pandey, President High Court Bar Association, Nagpur, respected Justice Shri R.K. Deshpande, esteemed senior members of the bar, family members and relatives of late Shri K.H. Deshpande, my colleagues at bar, ladies and gentlemen. My lords, we have congregated here today to pay homage to the memory of late Shri K.H. Deshpande, senior advocate whose death on 25th of March 2022 has left a grave sense of loss amongst the members of his family, friends, entire legal fraternity and admirers. My lord, it is an onerous duty for me to speak about a highly distinguished personality of the stature of late Shri K.H. Deshpande, under whose majestic aura many of us gathered their legal bearings and grew as advocates. We were always in awe of him, and he always continues to be an inspiration for us even today. Always dressed in khadi and wearing a gentle smile, late Shri K.H. Deshpande, fondly addressed as KH or KH Sir, is in legal fraternity, was a doyen of Nagpur bar and an institution in himself. He bore a strong personality, commanded a powerful presence in courts and outside of it. He was an advocate par excellence with great intellect, original thinking, tremendous knowledge of law and of many other subjects. Though in initial years of his career, he practiced in courts at Akola and Amravati, today he is highly respected and remembered for his impeccable knowledge and understanding of constitution, administrative law, service jurisprudence, election laws. The list is unending. He was one of the greatest lawyers of Nagpur who inspired honorable judges and advocates equally. My lords, I and many of us were fortunate to have seen him in action before the courts. Each of his arguments used to be a master's class, which we hardly missed. We jostled in this very courtroom to attend these masterly classes. There was so much to learn and imbibe from his arguments and presentations. His arguments were straight and sharp as a spear, and absolutely perfect in their dazzling logic and in exposition of law. And I personally was very fortunate to have witnessed this from close quarters as a junior member of a legal team, of which late Shri K. Sir was the lead counsel. This was a highly contested election petition relating to parliamentary seat of Nagpur, and K. Sir was the lead counsel for the petitioner. An arduous position by all means, and especially when the client approached with few papers in hand. But within limited period of 45 days, KS sir built a very strong case on the touchstone of subsection 6 of section 123 of the Representation of People's Act, which prescribed incurring and authorizing of expenditure in contravention of section 77 as a corrupt electoral practice, incurring disqualification of the returned candidate. Such a case was probably put up for the first time in any election petition. Hearing his arguments, his fine eloquence of law, and witnessing his legal craftsmanship in that case could be any lawyer's dream. Though the returned candidate was not disqualified ultimately, but his election petition resulted in an authoritative and a landmark judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court on the provisions of section 123, 6, 77 and 78 of the RP Act. This case is recorded as Gajanan Krishnaji Bapat versus Dattaji Raghobaji Meghe in the annals of courts. My lords, KS sir was undoubtedly an original thinker. This and many such other cases would highlight his exceptional trait in him. His contribution to development of law is immeasurable and discernible. Today's junior legal fraternity, which has an advantage of search engines, was always advised by KS sir to be original thinker. And I quote, "Getting things readily affects original thinking. And rather than just using an observation in a judgment, lawyers must find the crux of the case by thinking comprehensively." Unquote. This trait of original thinking probably came from the fact that KS sir was an inherent philosopher and a deep thinker, a person who was always in search of knowledge, truth, and understanding of the world and its structure. My lords, Shri K.H. Deshpande sir was an epitome of courage and confidence. He himself dared to charter his own path with supreme confidence and never shied from speaking forthrightly, at times without mincing any words and standing his own ground even in the face of adversity. He was a thunderous lion when needed. These traits came naturally to him. He was born to a freedom fighter. Late Shri Hariyar Vaman Deshpande. He himself had participated in Quit India movement in 1942. He was arrested during this period for distributing literature relating to this movement. He carried this strong personality trait throughout his life. He belonged to that school of men who were strict, disciplinarian, forthright and courageous, but responsible and caring. KS sir inspired generations of lawyers through his career. He nurtured and developed a long line of advocates who are now eminent advocates in their own rights. Honorable Justice R.K. Deshpande is an alumni of the same institution. Sir K.H. Deshpande was associated with many social, cultural, and non-governmental organizations. He guided these organizations with a sense of duty towards society. My lords, in his departure, his family has lost its affectionate and adorable kith and kin. The legal fraternity lost its Bhishma Pitama. The legally injured lost their defender. The philosophical world lost a guru, and the society a true friend, philosopher, and guide. Late K.S. sir is survived by his life partner, Srimati Ushaji, his two sons, respected Justice Ravi Deshpande and Advocate Shri Rajiv Deshpande, and daughter, Srimati Hema Pangarkar, and many grandchildren. Legacy of KS sir survives in the legal field in the form of his junior colleagues, his sons and grandchildren, namely Ashwin, Anshu, Ila, and Akshay Sudame, his grandson-in-law. My lords, I, along with my colleagues and staff of the Government Pleader's Office, join your lordships in extending our deep condolences to the members of his family, relatives, friends, and admirers, and host of other grieving associates. May his loving memories bring peace to them and be an inspiration to the legal fraternity. May the divine soul rest in eternal peace.
Honorable Shri Chief Justice, Honorable Judges of Bombay High Court, Shri Nandesh Deshpande, Assistant Solicitor General of India, Mrs. Ketki Joshi, Government Leader, Shri Atul Pandey, President of High Court Bar, respected members of Deshpande family, Bar and Registry. We all have assembled here to pay our last respects and to express our sentiments and emotions about a contented personality who left for his heavenly abode. We all have seen and admired his style of practice, and it was always a beautiful learning experience for all of us. Late Shri K.S. Deshpande sir was an institution in himself, where we have learned from his experience. I am sure everyone present here would agree that the cases in which he argued became a milestone. He represented various institutions, departments, private individuals, which also includes Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa. Late Shri K.S. Deshpande sir truly was a man of principles who showed how one can lead a successful life by upholding good values, ethics, and principles in totality. In this competitive world, when there is no shortcut to success, his exemplary life will always be a source of strength for all of us. After completing a grateful life, as we say in Marathi, Kurtartha आणि सार्थक जीवन, this pious soul has set for his onward journey, leaving a great legacy behind him for us to cherish and follow. On behalf of the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, I express my heartfelt condolences for the departed soul. We all are with his family in this hour of grief and sorrow. Lastly, I can say, त्यांच्या मोक्ष प्राप्तीसाठी ईश्वर चरणी प्रार्थना. ओम शांती.
Honorable Mr. Justice Dipankar Datta, the Chief Justice of Bombay High Court, the Honorable Judges of the Bombay High Court, Shri Nandesh Deshpande, Assistant Solicitor General of India, Mrs. Ketki Joshi, Government Pleader, Advocate Parijat Pandey, Member Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, distinguished members of the bar, family members of late Senior Advocate K.S. Deshpande, ladies and gentlemen. We have assembled today to make a reference to the sad demise of Senior Advocate K.S. Deshpande. It is very difficult to encompass a few words the distinguished career of an eminent lawyer. His lifespan symbolized significant achievement at each important stage, bringing honor and glory not only to himself but also to the legal fraternity in particular. Born in a family of freedom activists, Shri Hariyarrao Deshpande, K.S. sir graduated in commerce from G.S. College, Wardha, and actively led Chale Jao movement in 1942 and was arrested also. Thereafter, determined, he led student union at college till the nation attained independence. And to recognize his services, his native village known as Ashti in Wardha district honored him with privilege of hosting tricolor flag on 15th August 1947 at his age of only 19 years. At heart, he was a true family man and well attended all the responsibilities as eldest son after early demise of his father. After practicing law at Akola and then at Amravati in 1962, K.S. sir moved to Nagpur. Having successfully conducted trials including murder trials at Amravati, Balapur and Chandur railway courts in his initial stint and sharpened his acumen in evidence and criminal procedure law, he practiced as an advocate in Bombay High Court at Nagpur with clarity on basic principles of law. Late Shri K.S. Deshpande sir was designated as senior counsel by the Bombay High Court in the year 1977 and was senior standing counsel of Income Tax Department for over 12 years. Gandhian he was, K.S. sir was influenced by works and writings of Acharya Vinoba Bhave. This gave him distinct way of thinking spiritually and culminated in producing marvelous books on Gita, Upanishada and Vedas. Some of his authored books are reprinted by Kavi Kulguru Sanskrit University, for which he was awarded Tattva Bhushan Puraskar by the university. By his demise, we have lost a legal eagle, a social worker, an organizer, and above all, a gem of a person. On behalf of High Court Bar Association Nagpur and the Executive Committee, I extend to Mrs. Deshpande, to his son Shri Justice R.K. Deshpande, former judge of Bombay High Court, and Advocate Raju Deshpande, to his daughter Mrs. Sneha Pangarkar, and all other members of his family, our heartfelt condolences on their hour of sorrow. May the divine soul rest in peace.
As a mark of respect to the departed soul, we shall now observe a minute's silence. judicial proceedings will commence as per schedule.